Hello, this is Nick. Thanks for tuning in to another YouTube video. In this video, I want to share a little bit about my story because I've noticed there's a few people watching this channel who are from England and I haven't been home for 10 years. So I just want to share a little bit about how I came to find Master Sha, these teachings and so on and so forth. First off, I'd like to say I believe it's good to change. I think as a human being we should evolve, we should open up and search for more. But in saying that, there was something that moved me in this direction. So in this video, you know, I'll go back even to when I was in England, because I was brought up a Catholic, and but at the same time I was the only one in my family who asked questions. I asked a lot of questions. I'd speak to anybody who was prepared to speak to me. I used to have a window cleaner. I had a clothes shop, and the lad who cleaned the windows was a Jehovah's Witness. He was only a young lad. He was about 35. And, you know, I used to speak to him for 2 hours when he'd come and clean my windows. I'd just ask him a lot of questions and just see what he had to say. So yeah, I was always being pretty open, but at the same time, although I've always loved Jesus, and I totally believe in Jesus as a being, as an enlightened being, as one of the purest and most beautiful examples of a human being and an example of love and forgiveness that's ever walked this earth. So I do deeply love Jesus. At the same time, the Catholic religion just wasn't working for me. Just too much contradictions for me. I know it's saved a lot of people, but at the time of my life, especially when I came to Australia, it just wasn't really working for me. And then I met a man who was a lovely man. He's a good family man. He was an atheist. I'd never met anyone who was an atheist. So just listening to his outlook on life and his views on religion, it definitely influenced me to a point where I became almost atheist. I wouldn't say I was a full atheist. I'd say I was more agnostic because I definitely believed in the soul. I definitely believed there was something after life, before life. There was more to the universe than what I could see. But at the same time, religion was just a no-no. And I ended up having 2 years where I was pretty much a pain in the backside for anyone who was religious, because obviously I had a big ego, and I just didn't buy it, you know what I mean? And I ended up being pretty stubborn against religion. And then, you know, I was fascinated. I've always been intrigued with science. That's why there's a lot of scientific input in this channel if you watch some of the other videos. But at the same time, I was watching anything from people like Michio Kaku, Fred Alan Wolf, many other scientists. I was into quantum physics and so on. So I had 2 years of that. Now my wife has always been very sensitive. She said she's going to let me interview her, so I'm going to be interviewing my wife soon. She's always saw things, okay? Now, I go into this a little bit more detail in our book. I've got a book that we've wrote as a family that hopefully Master Sha will possibly publish in the near future. But without going into too much detail, I would always believed that my wife, it was all in her head. Okay, now even though I did believe in things like ghosts, I did believe in spirits, and I think every family has got a story where they've had a grandparent, auntie, or something who's had some type of experience with sixth senses, third eye images, which is seeing spiritual images, deep knowings. You know, my mum always shared a story with us of when she just knew something bad was going to happen, and she demanded that my father stay at home. I wasn't born at the time, and because she just knew something was going to happen. And that night, my grandfather, her father, had a heart attack and died, but she knew something before it happened. So I think there's a lot of these type of stories, and in Danielle's family there was definitely a lot of incredible stories where Danielle would see remotely things that were happening, whether it was her father's car getting broken into, or even he lost a bird. He lost an African grey parrot, and he searched for it for 2 or 3 days, and then Danielle went out and she just basically went straight to this tree in the middle of the woods and retrieved the bird. She knew exactly where it was, and many of these things. But even with those, every time we moved into a new apartment, when we moved to Australia, Danielle would always say, Nick, I don't like this place, there's something in here. And I would just always say, look, it's you. You're the one who's it's just all in your head. You know, you scare yourself, blah, 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 blah. I've never really spoken in detail about our experiences, but I feel it's the right time, so I will share in this video our experiences. We moved when my son Bo was 1 year of age. We moved to a new apartment in Mona Vale, and it felt very different even for me. It was a lot denser then. I just didn't feel as much as I do now, but there was definitely it definitely felt different. But I never said anything. I just thought it was just a new place. And my boy Bo wouldn't sleep. He went from sleeping great to moving into this place and just wouldn't sleep. More so than just not sleeping, you'd fall asleep with me or Danielle. We'd put him into bed, and he would literally wake up hysterical. Like, he'd stop breathing, he'd dirty his nappy, he would literally terrified. Then what happened was a good friend of mine was seeing an acupuncturist for his sinuses, and he's a beautiful man, good friend of mine, and he said to me, he said, there's something about this man who's doing the acupuncture, there's just something about him. And he had done a lot of Buddhist practice. He'd spent time in monasteries in Thailand and whatnot, and he said, this dude, this man, he said, he's seriously, there's something about him. So I said, does he treat children? Does he help kids? He asked them. This man said yes, and we went to visit him with Bo. Bo was only 1 then, and basically walked in. He was a beautiful man, and a very nice man. There was definitely something about him. He had a very unique presence about him. But still, you know, I was just, see what happens. We briefly told him what was going on, and he basically sat on the floor with my son, and he basically got into a meditative condition, and he closed his eyes and he started like chanting like a mantra, like singing a very gentle song to my son. And then, and basically for probably 20 minutes, him and my son were just locked. My lad Bo was just staring at him. And it was amazing to watch. I'd never seen anything like it. And then when he was actually doing things to the bowl, he was just moving his hands away from the bowl like this. And and then when he'd finished doing whatever he was doing, he sat up with us and he said, look, he said, if you took Bo to a child psychologist, they would tell you something different. He said, but what I've just got from Bo is that there's something in your apartment and it's scaring Bo. When he said that, Danielle started crying. So I'm just like looking at Danielle thinking, I didn't know what was going on. And she said, she then said to this man, this is what I'm seeing. And she started explaining to this man the visuals that she's seeing. And this man turned around and said, yeah, that's exactly what you would be seeing. So at that point, I felt pretty bad for Danielle. And I even said, I remember very clearly, I actually said to this man, I said, couldn't it just all be in Danielle's head? Like, couldn't she be scaring herself? I said, you know, if she's seen something scary on the telly, or we've watched a film that's scary, could it not be her just keeping that going? And he just looked at me and he said, look, Danielle's seeing the horror movie and you're not. And I just said, okay, fair enough. So then what happened was the activity that was going on in our apartment, literally just every single day, every week, was just cranking up a notch. And it was the biggest blessing that I've ever had, because it would have needed to be something like that to turn me, because I was so stubborn back then that I probably wouldn't. It just took something like that. There was a reason that it happened. It took something that dramatic to happen. And what happened was, I'll tell you a number of scenarios. One night, Danielle said, Nick, I can feel something. And I did. I actually did. It felt, the whole energy changed. And there was like a big washing basket that we had. It got kicked. Literally, like someone just kicked. It just flew across the room. Other things, pretty full on. I don't really want to go into them, but you know, full on things that the three of us experienced. You know, Bo got pushed out of bed. I felt like pressure down my throat. Felt pretty intense. And we went to see this man a number of times, and in a nutshell, he was a student of Master Shah, and he advised us to do a universal forgiveness practice, because whatever happens is karma. This is our past mistakes. We've upset, and we've upset someone. We've hurt people in the past, and that's why we experience what we do in the present. Now, don't get me wrong, you can move into an apartment and it can have negative spirits in there, but at the same time, there's still a spiritual reason why you're there. For whatever reason, I believe they will still be linked to you, because there is a universal reason why you're experiencing everything you're experiencing. So it was definitely our stuff, but there was also stuff in the apartment. In a nutshell, from all of this, it was a really incredible time, because although all this full-on so-called negative stuff that was going on, we also were having at the same time, through putting we got introduced to Master Shah then, and we had his books then, and then we started applying his teachings. So at the same time, there was that yin-yang balance in our life. We were experiencing some things that were happening that I would have in the past said were terrifying, and they were scary. You know, I'm not saying I wasn't scared. I had a few times where I was genuinely scared, but at the same time, we were experiencing some incredible spiritual experiences. you know, Danielle's visions once applying Master Shah's practices, and obviously being linked to Master Shah then, because Master Shah, through the service that he's offering, he's definitely supported by the soul world. Everything she saw was very different. It changed dramatically to very positive and light spiritual images and experiences, which is a whole, you know, a lot more we can go into in other videos. But in a nutshell, I just want to explain how I found Master Shah. That's one of the main ways I found Master Shah. And then that was it then. So I always remember when we left that apartment, I always remember me and Danielle, when we left, we moved all our stuff out. We went, the place was empty, and we said thank you. We actually said thank you. We said, we're so grateful for this apartment and the events that have happened in this apartment, because through it, we found Master Shah. We found our teacher, we found our spiritual path. And from then on, it's just been an incredible journey. So, some people might have near-death experiences that will kickstart them to start asking questions. I've always asked questions, and I've always put things to the test. Even if it's like nutrition, or if it's a diet, or, you know, if health benefits, even since I was younger, I'll always experiment on myself. I always have done. So, you know, Master Shah was no different. I found Master Shah's teachings. I thought, you know what? I've got to believe. I did trust him. That's the main thing. Master Shah is, I trusted him straight away. There was definitely a connection here, maybe a past life connection. But I still thought, you know, Master Shah doesn't ask anyone to believe anything. It's like the Buddha is the same. He doesn't say believe this, believe that. Master Shah actually says, if you want to know if a pear is sweet, taste it. If you want to know if my teachings work, experience it. That's exactly what I did. I was doing a lot of intense training at the time. I just dropped that and just swapped over to meditation. I was doing a lot of meditation. And I was saying, if you're telling me that if I do this, I'll get that results, I want to see for myself. That's the whole reason of doing these videos. I don't expect anybody to believe anything I'm saying. In fact, I want you to put it to the test, and you tell me your experiences. The Universal Meditations on my YouTube channel, practice them daily. Practice them daily and write in. Tell me what experiences you're having. So I did. I put his practices to the work, and yeah, I've got to say that's why I'm here now. That's why I'm devoted to Master Shah. That's why I'm trying to share his teachings, is because they work, and I've experienced it firsthand. So yeah, I just thought it was important to share my experience. Obviously, yeah, I could go a lot deeper, but I'll just keep it very brief. I'm very grateful for the people who are tuning in and watching the channel. And if you think it will benefit anybody else, please do share the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.